What's up, guys? For episode 4 of AP Productions, I'd like to welcome Chris Rebetti, top producing agent, now the CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Legendary. Let's have a proud welcome for Chris Rebetti. Let's go.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you. So let's get right into it. How long have you been in the real estate industry and what brought you here?
I actually been in the real estate industry for 6.5 years now. What got me here was my backup plan. It was plan B. All my other jobs, I was a fitness trainer, I worked in restaurants as a waiter, I was a stand-up comedian, I was a magician, I did everything. This was the backup job, and it happened to work out really well. So I'm glad things did turn out this way, and I ended up.
Holy shit, you might as well get Renaissance Man tattooed on your neck if you...
That's on the list, probably.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you started off about 6.5 years ago. You were an agent, and can you just talk to me about your experience as an agent?
Yeah, sure. So the first about year and a half, I worked as an apprentice for a top producing agent, where I got probably over 20 to 30 years experience in the business, watching everything that could go wrong, watching everything that could go right, how to prepare the client, how to have expectations set. So if things do come awry, you're able to fix it immediately. And so that was a really important part, was the training that I did, not making a lot of money in the beginning in order to be successful in the long run. So that was how I started. Ended up being a cold caller, then that became illegal. I started knocking on doors to get business. I sent emails, annoyed the crap out of my friends, my family, people I met in the streets. And then I realized I'm way better and more suited to do content, whether it's social media on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X now. All of that came more naturally to me, and that's what helped really boost my business.
Okay, that's great. So in the transition from becoming an agent to becoming now the CEO of Keller Williams Legendary, what made you make that move?
Yeah, it kind of started with the culture at Keller Williams. When I got to see it firsthand, it was very different from what I experienced at other brokerages in the past, and I loved it. And to be able to grow something like that, to bring other agents into the family, into that kind of setting, that type of nature, that's where businesses are going to thrive. I realized I've seen things go wrong in other brokerages when they did not have people, standards, things set in place with purpose and reason. So this is going to have a lot more guidelines for agents, set standards for agents. I realized that about this brokerage, and that's something that I want to build and grow and be a part of.
Can you explain to the people, as the CEO, what your job title entails?
So at Keller Williams Legendary, I'm the CEO/team leader there, and my job is to make sure that everyone is making money in the office, abiding by ethical standards, keeping in compliance, and of course growing their business and making clients happy, because that's really the only way that we can be happy, is if our clients are happy. You don't want to be a miserable agent. A lot of people don't have the training to be able to do that. So my job is to provide the training schedule and to bring agents into an environment where they can grow their business. So keep people happy here, make more people happy by bringing them in here.
So you mentioned that social media ended up being an outlet for you that had the most success. Can you talk to the business it's brought you and just how that journey started?
Yeah, so I had seen and heard about a lot of other YouTube channels that had been in Canada, that had been in Texas, Florida, Australia. And basically what they realized is it was a niche that they were targeting, and they didn't even realize, and I didn't either until it started happening, that primarily you're going to get relocation clients, people that need to move for either work, family. They are the most motivated clients because they have to move. So you set a good standard for them and expectation for them, they're gonna move. And where did I relocate people from? Unexpectedly, I've worked with over 6 different countries right now. I've brought in people from countless states, from all over into New York, from New York into other places. So that type of client is something that kind of involves me being hands-on with where they're coming from. Could be a different government, it could be a different state, it could be their agent and their situation in the other area before they leave here or go there or come here from there. So learning how to kind of transfer currency into dollars, out of dollars, making sure they have a car to pick them up down there, making sure they understand kind of where they're going, where they're coming from. So it's a little bit more intimate, it's a little bit more intricate, I guess that's the word I'm looking for, but that's kind of the type of client you get.
So I did a little bit of research on you. I know that you've served many different counties, many different regions, but I wanted to ask you specifically the differences between serving New York City, Long Island, and Hudson Valley. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, they're 3 totally different markets with 3 totally different speeds and different needs that the client has. Usually upstate, things move a little bit at a slower pace. It's not as busy. The price point isn't as high as when you're in Long Island or when you're in, of course, Manhattan, but the clients there are very genuine, just like they are everywhere. There are a lot of kind of almost like a rural feel up there. So the market's not as quick, but it's definitely suitable as long as things are priced right. In Long Island, you're picking up the pace to like level 2 now. Definitely a lot faster. There's a lot of demand because you're getting your space, you're getting your own house, you're getting backyard, and you'd be able to park your car anywhere you want.
Yeah.
Versus the city, there is a much higher price point up there, very hard to find parking. A lot of the jobs that the people have when they live there, they're taking place on Wall Street, they're in the city, they're in the government, and they like that fast-paced life. That's the fastest market that I've ever worked in, is the New York City market. And when you're there, you've got to be quick, you've got to be prepared, and have every duck in a row before you go and think about getting into a transaction.
So in doing a bit more research on you, I found out a few things. I found out that you helped relocate for the UN. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, definitely. That was actually, it's a funny story, how I met them. I had a rental listing in Forest Hills, and one of the guys came into the open house, and he said he did work with the United Nations, and he showed me a badge, and he showed me all his credentials, and I said, yeah, that's cool, whatever. Anyway, I was at my apartment, and I get 2 emails coming in, and it's like, do not disclose, non-disclosure agreement, United Nations, not top secret, but classified information included or attached. And I was like, oh, these are some weird 2 emails. And then I got a text. This is Colonel so-and-so, United Nations. And I'm like, oh, a text? And then my phone rang from a weird number. It was like plus 63 and a bunch of weird digits after that. And I'm like, oh my God, someone's about to kick in the door. Like, they just hacked everything. Anyway, I picked it up. Hi, this is Colonel, I can't say his name, United Nations, calling from Bangladesh. We have someone that's interested in your apartment that you have for a lease. What do we have to do to get it? I sent you all the documents that you had mentioned in the MLS listing. If there are any other bidders on it, just tell us what the number is, we'll beat it. And this is what we're looking to do. We need to get the apartment. And I was like, all right, let me just look at all the stuff that you got here. But when they come from overseas, they don't have any United States credit. They don't have United States income. So it's a very bland application. So I helped fix that guy's application for his family. And once they saw that I could organize that, they sent me all of their relocations for generals, colonels,
wow,
and all their advanced positions.
Wow, that's a huge pipeline.
And it came out of nowhere. It was the scariest thing, but it was very random how I ran into that, and then from there got into work with Pentagon and government as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So what would you say as to working with the government? Would you say that deals happen to be easier because of how strict and direct they are?
Yeah.
Like,
They'll pay whatever, just get this done for me, please, and they'll get you any document that you need. They fill them out, unlike other clients where we're chasing them to get forms filled out. These people come in very correct every single time, and they know what they want.
a lot less emotion in it as well, right?
Zero emotion.
So I wanted to ask you, can you give a blueprint plan to be a successful real estate agent in New York?
What we look to do is build out a database here. That is the main point of an entire business, whether you're selling muffins, mittens, houses. It's always, how do your clients find you? How do they stay with you at the top of their mind? And staying in touch with them, not being invasive. We already, everyone knows people that are a bit too intrusive, annoying, looking to buy or sell. No one wants that. But leading with value. So basically what we've done is kind of generated a system here, and that's one thing I really love about Keller Williams. It's about using systems. So we don't have to think, it is just operate.
Yeah.
So building the database, and typically you can predict that you'll close at least 2% of your database. So if 100 people, what's 2% of that? That's 2 people will close per year. And that's generally not even including referrals. So if you build your database to about 1,000 people, and then you continue to keep in touch over the course of a year, through the math that we've done, you should be closing 10 deals, thus bringing you to your 6-figure mark. And that's the 0 to 6-figure blueprint. How you keep in touch with them is another story. We provide all of that for you via text, email, voicemail blast, personal phone calls, letters, gifts in the mail, happy birthday text message and phone call. So that's kind of the idea, is building that database and then surrounding that with giving them love, nurturing the database.
And what would be your pitch to somebody who's thinking about coming into the industry as an agent?
I would say to not think of yourself as a realtor, but think of yourself as a business person. Again, you could sell anything. You could sell tables, microphones. You'll still have to keep in touch and keep your face in front of clients. And instead of being a realtor or someone that opens doors, does open houses, think of yourself as a media company. How many eyeballs can you get on you and keep reminded of you throughout the year? It's what's going to bring you business.
So have you yourself invested in real estate since being in the industry?
Yes. So I have invested in some land. I've also invested in, I think it's a scam, but I invested in land on the moon.
What?
The Lunar Alps. That was a very cheap investment. It only cost it was like $500 for like, it was 20 acres of moon land. So theoretically, if we ever get there, I own some real estate up there. But that was between the land here on Earth and the land on the moon. Those are my two investments. I'll be getting my first property by the end of this year.
Oh, wow! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good for you. And would it be in New York, or are you still working on it? Nice.
Yep, in Long Island. And the goal is to build a portfolio. And that's kind of another thing we do here, is not just chase deals and look for the next client, but it's what are you going to do with your life after this? What are you going to do for your family? Generational wealth, and that's going to come from investments. Definitely not moon investments, but actual earthly territory. If you could buy that, it's the best way to go.
Well, funny enough, that's why I became a realtor in the first place. Yeah. My vision, my dream has always been to be a real estate investor, to have a portfolio myself. So I figured the best way to go about that is to get in the industry as an agent. You're essentially a middleman. Make as much money as possible, learn everything I can, and by the time I have the opportunity to make a move, I'll know what to do and how to do it.
Exactly, the whole legal process. Would that be to build or to fix and flip or buy and hold?
It might be a little bit of everything. Right now it's just on whatever the right opportunity ends up being, and it depends on what's in front of me. The main goal is to buy and hold, to have passive income, and to essentially have that all over the US, all over the world, and have my money working for me. So right now it's a process, but I definitely see myself going into fixing and flipping as well. Just whatever the right opportunity is will come my way, and I know I'll take advantage of it.
I love the buy and hold. People don't realize buying 1 to 2 properties a year over a 30-year period, you're looking at a net worth of that portfolio of $20 to $30 million, generational wealth, and that's the whole buy and hold game. And we tend to lose focus of things like that because we just think of leads and weekly numbers and this and that, but having patience in this game helps a ton.
Yeah, and it's the freedom that it buys. You know, if you spend the next 5 to 10 years really just working your ass off, doing everything you can, and you make those smart investments, you know, you have to work hard, but you also have to work smart. You make those investments, they start to pay off. Guess what? You can do whatever you want to. You can be wherever you want to be.
Yeah, keep a small lifestyle instead of upgrading it, and just stay focused on the plan ahead.
So one of the quotes I actually heard from you in an interview was, your emotions attract the next events that come into your life. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, definitely. I heavily believe in that. It's kind of like when you start your day in traffic going to work, and if you get mad, you get pissed off, you walk into the office pissed off, you're going to spill your coffee, you're going to drop the laptop on the floor. It tends to have a domino effect on what happens next. Otherwise, I call it flow state. When you're in flow, you have great music playing on, let's say the same work example, great music playing, going to work, you have a great, nice cup of coffee, you get into the office, hello, you get a good wave, or your whole team is there. It tends to keep you in that state, and the next events that come, you tend to be able to handle the situation, even if it's bad, just a little bit better than you would if you were already in a negative state. I found that to be not only fact, but just that's how I live my life now. I think about that consciously throughout my day. Where am I at and what am I feeling? And if I'm not feeling so great, then we gotta pause for a second. Let's take a break here, you know, maybe even go for a walk, write it down, and then come back.
So would you say that the energy you give tends to be the energy you get back?
Yeah, totally. I use about 19 sentences. That was a good way to sum up everything right there.
So from this conversation, I take you to be a law of attraction believer.
100%.
Manifestation.
Exactly right. Yep.
You got a vision board and all that?
Everything. Yeah.
So do I.
That's how it's got to be. And I found that you can brainwash yourself into a new life. And when I started that, I had a coach in India. I hired him, and I would see him for almost an entire work day at a time. It was like 5 hours on Zoom, and we'd go through everything about it. We read books together, and he taught me all of that. As soon as I stopped, or started seeing him, stopped living life the way I did, everything fell into place. That was about a little over a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, I was doing fine, but to have a breakthrough, that's where it really hit for me.
So you were telling me off camera that they're thinking about implementing a new 50-year mortgage.
This is the first time in 20-something years they're actually talking about this. In Japan, they do 100-year mortgages. Here there was chatter and talk about making 50-year mortgage terms, which would essentially lower the monthly payment by a substantial amount, okay? So it would make homes more affordable. Now that would also bring prices up if you think about it, because you're lowering monthly costs. It's gonna even itself out. That's just kind of how the market would work. And you also do have to take into account that you're going to be paying interest for 50 years versus 30 years. So the amortization rate is going to be different. You're going to be paying more interest on that loan. So the same $800,000 house is going to be the same $800,000 house, but you're drawing out your term, so more and more months, 20 years more in monthage, which is going to be every month getting more and more interest tacked on. So you will have a very high-end amortization rate. So something to think about. That's the only couple of things that would be, I could hear an argument for both sides, but that's something that's being talked about right now.
So what's your thoughts on that idea? Where would you argue if you're in this boat?
I like it because there's a lot of people that can't afford today's market. And even though they have really great jobs, sometimes it's just too competitive. It's either their down payment's not competitive enough, or maybe they just don't have enough income, or their debt to income ratio is too high. So I like it. However, there's going to be a market that corrects itself to adjust to that. For the past few years, after the COVID market, we've been living in essentially an artificially propped up market due to the rate slash that brought things down to 3%. We were never supposed to see those kinds of rates. When that happens, prices shot up. That's why rates had to come back up and even this out. This market that we're experiencing right now is very much expected from what happened a few years ago when rates were cut so high, or so low. Now, people have their house for 3 years at a 3% interest rate. Why would they sell?
No.
It's no surprise that we have an inventory shortage. It's because of all those people that bought. Why would they go unless they really, really have to, and double their interest rate?
Yeah, it's one of those things where there are people who would like to leave, but because they have such a low interest rate, they won't. It's a catch-22, because at the end of the day, if you want to be somewhere else, you should be somewhere else. But if you're tied down, you're tied down, especially when it becomes about your finances.
Yeah, you'd have to really need to move, which is why I love the relocation niche, because they really need to move.
When you first became an agent, were you full-time? Were you still working somewhere else? What was your situation?
I was part-time at another job. I was running a fitness studio, and so I was doing that, during half the day, and the other half of the day I was doing real estate. Again, I was an apprentice for a little while, so learning as much as I could until I was able to have a cushion underneath me. Did a couple of deals, had a nice sized cushion of money in the bank, so I had my expenses paid for, I had reserves on hand, and then I jumped in full-time. And then it was easier, there wasn't as much pressure. I feel like in this business, when you have a lot of pressure on you, you kind of put that on the client, and it's just a total turnoff.
Can you speak to the benefits you've had being in an apprentice type of situation?
Yeah, I know that everyone gets into this business, they want to start making money right away. There's a lot of money to be made, but there is a lot of knowledge that you need to know. There's ways that you could go out there and get yourself sued so fast because you're not compliant.
There's 100 different laws.
You can get fined, and I have never had one of those happen to me. And I thank, the person that sponsored me, the person that, let me be their apprentice and kind of showed me the ropes, was a mentor to me. So I had the right ethics going into this. I had all the knowledge of about 35 years experience. So that's what I would say was the biggest thing I could have ever done versus just leap in not knowing what I was doing.
Yeah, and now as a CEO, you're giving that back. Now you're the mentor. You have a bunch of apprentices or apprentices.
Came full circle. Yeah. So it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, no, that's it's amazing. That really just shows the circle of how you can start somewhere and then be in a completely different place.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, and are you still an agent, or are you just full-time CEO at the moment?
I still do my own sales. I run them through another office. It's a toss-up because I love doing both. So I do have my specialty clients that I love working with, family and friends I love working with. It's not the same where I can just go out there and just throw myself at the market like I used to.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of more selective now with how I intake clients and manage my time. But yes, I still do personal sales.
And where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Investing, maybe living on an island, maybe living on an island half of the year, and then here, well, this is an island technically, but investment properties, investment portfolios, building out passive income streams, and then probably teaching that to people as well.
All right. Well, I'll be right there with you.
I hope so. I know you will, because I see the way you work in the office, so you'll be right there.
I appreciate that. I think
You got
it's
it, brother.
perfect to
Thanks for
close
having
out.
me.
No, pleasure having you here. Thank you for being here.
You got it, brother.
All right. You already know AP Productions. We're not just here to inform, we're here to entertain. See you guys next time.
I love it, dude. What's AP?